Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Now I'm all nervous. Stomach should turn.
That's yeah.
Okay, so Moro, Palmer, the rooting and sucking. When you scare your baby. I do too. I must have my Moro reflex still. Palmer, you put your hand or your finger, and they're gonna grab hold. It's usually my hair, and then they don't let go. Your beard.
Leave it alone.
The, the rooting reflex. So you rub their cheek and they turn towards you. You touch their lips. Why does that matter? Why do you need to know that? What else? You get called to a sick baby and you're doing an assessment. How do you assess it? How do you know if they're alert and oriented? Are they responding appropriately? Right? What you do?
Trying to.
They're supposed to sleep for 16 to 18 hours initially, and then 4 to 6 hours. That may or may not happen. It just by 2 to 4 months, they are supposed to sleep through the night. Only my first one did. Their extremities grow in links from a combination of the 4 growth plates. Where's the growth plate? Femur. Humerus. Yes.
Basically at the end of all your bones.
All the
growth
bones.
place. Broken circle.
The fontanelles on the top of their heads. So their heads are not a solid skull. It's called fontanelles. There's suture lines all through there. I was gonna bring a skull with me right, I forgot. You have one? Not really. So they're all soft.
Not the same
So-
kind as yours.
Huh?
Not the same kind as yours.
No, but mine are cooler and they can actually
That's what I-
see the sutures.
What I said.
The posterior fontanelle closes in 2 to 3 months. The post or anterior is 9 to 18 months. If their head has kind of a dip in it, you can kind of pour water and it will stay. They're dehydrated. If it's bulging, there's some sort of increased pressure. So in the adult, these are all together. It's a solid bone. It's still great, easy, but whereas when I'm with infant, these are all soft. It's just a very soft tissue. It kind of keeps it system, but it can grow and expand and decrease, and that's where you get the rise or fall, depending on what is wrong with them.
You know, it's usually a little bit, maybe a quarter size gap right on top. That isn't sutured together. As the bones grow, they'll grow into that gap. And suture together. That's why you'll see that divot right there. A little soft spot on top of the head. But you do not put water in it to see if it'll hold water.
No, but when you give them a bath, that's where it always stays.
Yeah.
Your babies with shaken baby syndrome. I've seen it twice. When they do have that bulging, and then that's when you're gonna be like, hey doc, something's wrong here. Okay? I say K a lot. Try not to cuss. So they're psychosocial, they're bonding. The sense that needs will be met. They are attached to mom like glue. Mom is their comfort. For the most part. Trust versus mistrust. They desire for an orderly, predictable environment. you change something around and they're gonna be out of whack. Their brains are like, wait, something's off. Kind of like my dogs, when they go outside and Bobby's truck is parked at the bottom, they bark because that's not where the truck is supposed to be. Similar with babies. Scaffolding, they learn on top of what they have already learned. So it just keeps growing. And they react to their environment. Not a whole lot of temper tantrums with this. The toddler phase, though. Where is, okay, in your book, page, table 8-1. Your vittles. It's probably later in the slides on this, but. For your newborn, heart rate, 1 to 170. Anything below that, you're doing CPR. Right? Respiratory rate, 30 to 60. Their blood pressure is 50 to 70. Once they become, so that's your newborn, once they are 12 hours, 24 hours, then they're an infant, not a newborn. Okay? Make sense? Track it? So the toddler, 12 to 3 years, their body temp ranges from 98 to 99. Pretty similar to ours. So if they bring a baby into us and they have a temperature of 100. Okay. Their weight gain, it says that they will gain about 4.4 pounds per year. Huh? Is that all? And then their body systems improve in efficiency. Where am I at? They're curious little shits. Curtains, they climb up. It's where you get the troublemakers. They get wrapped up in your blinds. Pull the rugs out. That's why they call them rug rats. The terrible twos. Or as my one granddaughter, she was feral threes. They say rugrats and I say feral. Same thing. The pulmonary system. So the terminal airways, they branch and grow. And the alveoli at the very end starts getting more and more. They look like grapes. You'll learn more about this later, but so you have your main line branches out. And once it gets down deep into the lungs, then you have little grape looking clusters. It's the alveoli. Let me see, okay. Their brain is 90% of the same of an adult's weight. Their fine motor skills are starting to develop. Their muscle mass and their bone density increases. But their immune system is more susceptible to illness. By 3 years, they have all of their primary teeth. If they haven't knocked them back out. So this is kind of cool. Toilet training is possible at 12 to 15 months, but psychologically, they're not ready yet. 18 to 30 months. Psychosocial, so they begin to understand the words that have meaning, except for no, they have no clue what that is. They begin to understand cause and effect. If I touch that when it's hot, it's gonna burn me. They're starting to get those reflexes. They start developing separation anxiety. When we're transporting a pediatric patient, mom or dad or adult, somebody that they trust is going with us usually. If you have that pediatric patient where they're like, don't give a shit, One, they're either extremely sick, and you're in trouble, or two, there's something wrong with the family situation. They should freak out when you take them away from mom or dad or whoever. They love magic. So when you blow up those rubber gloves, that's magic. That's cool. And they are mastering the language of basics. Or so they think. Heart rate, page 189, 80 to 140. The respiratory rate is 24 to 40, and it will be the chest rise and fall. Their mean systolic pressure is 90 plus, in parentheses, for 1 to 10 years times 2. You need to know that. So if I have a 6-year-old, times 2 is 12, plus 90, 150.
150.
6 times 2 is 12. Plus 90. Oh, sorry. 20. That's better. Questions? Know those formulas because that will be on the test. I saw it twice on my national registry test. 3 to 5. They are very social little creatures. They're still developing. They're getting more social. They're interacting with others. That's where they're at the daycare and you start seeing the pros and cons. They come home and they start throwing temper tantrums all of a sudden. Well, that's what Johnny does, so, and it worked for Johnny. They correlate all of that. They're smarter than we think. Peer interactions offer the opportunity for learning, making comparisons. They notice the differences. Little Johnny has a lisp and talks different than Ray Ray does. Wow. And they might start asking questions. Because they're curious. So their heart rates are 70 to 120. The respiratory rates are 22 to 34. And then their age times 2 plus 90. Age times 2 plus 90. 6 to 12. So they're 98.6 to 101. They're warmer than school age or preschool. They're gaining 6.6 pounds a year and they're growing 2.4 inches a year. Unless mom and dad are both 6 or 7 foot tall, and then they might grow fast. Their primary teeth will be shed and replaced with permanent teeth. This is when their increased decision-making skills get better and they develop self-esteem. Mom and dad are always yelling at them. They're going to be that student that you see out on the playground playing by himself. Always going to have their head down. Always going to be trying to please you. Always trying to make you happy. They spend less time with their child. Reward and punishment. And their moral reasoning hears and their behaviors get one extreme or the other. I keep telling my granddaughter she's bipolar and she just laughs at me. One minute she's perfectly fine and the next minute she's not so fine. Their heart rates are going to be 60 to 100. Nope, sorry, 65 to 120. Respiratory rate 18 to 30. and same blood pressure. There are 3 major developmental ages. Infant. It's when they make the transition from fetal life to life. There are a lot of changes that go on in there. Adolescence. It's when they transition from childhood to adulthood. And then people like Jim, late adulthood to deterioration.
Even closer.
Adolescence is your 13 to 18-year-olds. They know everything. They have done everything. And they're going to do it on their own, whether you like it or not. They are more private to parents, not friends necessarily. These are the students you get called to the high school and you're asking them questions, but all of their friends and are around and they're going to give you smart ass comments. They're going to think everything is a joke, game, until you get them in the back of the truck by themselves when it's private and it's just you and them. And then you get the real story. So don't try to question them and figure out what's going on until you can get them separated from. Oh, they grow like weeds. First, it's their feet and arms. So you get a lot of falls because our feet are bigger than our bodies and we trip over them. Then their arms and legs catch up. This is when puberty happens. Sexual development occurs. 20 anymore, we're having 14-year-olds having babies. They strive for that independence. Like I said, they've done it, they know it, you're not going to help them. Their body image is a huge concern. They're going to be more worried about the laceration and the scar that's going to be on their face than they're bleeding to death. This is the age group and we're seeing it a lot. So Wyoming has one of the highest suicide rates. But then on top of that, it's your 13 to 18-year-olds, which just blows my mind. But anymore, we're seeing a lot of even 11-year-olds, 8-year-olds. Just the way of the world, I guess. So they're more prone to self-destructive behaviors. You're not going to see that. They might be cutters. So they're cutting their legs, but they're cutting a pie so that their dresses or their pants will cover it. It might be up top. It might even be their abdomens. And then their personal code of ethics develops. So basically small adults. So their heart rates are 60 to 100. Their respiratory rates are 12 to 20. And their blood pressures are anywhere from 100 to 120. So they're very similar to an adult's. Got it? And then there's people like me. Just kidding. Early adults, 19 to 40. They're in their prime. This is when they're at their best health. This is when they have all of their goals. They know what they're going to be. They know what they want to do. They have their dreams. And then reality hits later. This is when their lifelong habits develop. I disagree, but I used to exercise all the time. That went away. So it didn't last a lifetime. The peak physical conditions between 19 and 26. Job and family stress levels are high because those goals, they want that money, they want to be successful. They're going to make it happen somehow, some way, no matter what. But then they also want to get married and they want to have kids and they want to grow their life and they want a house and a new car. And Accidents in this age group are the leading cause of death. It's a rat race. They're in a hurry to get things done. Okay. 60 to 100, 12 to 20. And 120 is the normal systolic, is a normal blood pressure. Middle adulthood, 41 to 60. How far have they come? How big of a failure are they? They did not get the job of their dreams. They did not get their master's degree and be a doctor. Midlife crisis. Their physical health starts to deteriorate. It's sure hard to lose weight. I don't want to get up in the morning. I have to wear eyeglasses. Cancer is typically a leading, this is when it's most diagnosed, is in this age group. And then menopause. Heart disease. There's still, if they have reached their life goals, they're still going to be task oriented. Oops, sorry, you want life slides. They're exercising. Empty nest syndrome. Oh, that is very real. Kids are all gone, moved off to college. That's why I bought dogs. They're concerned about both adult children and then their elderly parents. I help take care of my father-in-law. My kids still call me on a daily basis. When they're in trouble, they call mom. And then late adulthood. This is where we get called all the time because so much has changed. Golden years, twilight years. My husband says, what is so golden about it? This shit sucks. Their heart doesn't work as well. Their blood volume has decreased. Their respiratory health has decreased, especially if they smoke. They're sick more often. Their metabolism stopped working so well. And then their sleep-wake cycle changes. My father-in-law goes to bed at 9 o'clock and he's awake at 1. Period. He cannot sleep to save his life. Unless the football game or the races are on, and then he sleeps in the chair. And then he wonders why he can't sleep at night. The many challenges. Are they going to be able to stay in their 3-story house? Are they going to be able to climb these stairs? Are they going to have to move out, sell their house? Now what are they going to do? Did they make an impact? Do they matter? My father-in-law, when just before he had surgery on his back, had that, he said it several times. Nobody comes over unless I'm sick. And we're over twice a week. But he just has that. His son calls him every day from Cheyenne. Just to make sure, hey, there's a football game on tonight. Oh, by the way, I need a new car. So, financial burdens. Are they ready to retire? Do they have enough money? How are they going to survive? How are they going to pay their bills? Medications cost this much. Their house is going to cost this much. Gas. So do I buy my pills or do I pay my rent? It is very real. It is very sad. Their motivation, personal interests, activity levels might enhance, but it depends on location, depends on ethnicity, depends on where they were at when they reached this point in their life. True. My dad already has his grave site paid for. He has his coffin picked out, and he has his suit that he's going to wear. Just to be prepared. sucks. Questions? Y'all are boring. Okay, that is it for the chapter. Know your vitals. And know your age groups, because they are big test questions, even on the National Registry test. Take a break. Then we'll do the next chapter 3. It's all scared of me. Now I'm cracking.
See? Okay. Hope I gotta admit, Dylan. There we go.
Like it. Okay, lifting and moving. You can lift and move pretty much anything, maybe not by yourself. But you have to have the proper body mechanics. And then, is it an emergent move, an urgent move? Or are you gonna do your assessment and all of your stuff and things and then move? Big difference in different mechanisms or way to move. After we are done with the chapter, we might take a little bit of a break and then we're gonna go play and you're gonna lift each other and climb the stairs and get backboarded and have fun. Well, you already know, I know. So the main reason to do this chapter is so that you know how to properly lift and move so you don't injure yourself or others. Because you don't want to make it worse. When my partner is helping me lift a patient and all of a sudden she goes, and she is stuck. Now I have 2 patients and dang it.
They fall out of an ambulance.
I resemble that.
Both of my partners do. So before you lift, consider what you're lifting. What's the position of the patient? How much does the patient weigh? Is she between the bathtub and the toilet? Or he? Does she weigh 400 pounds? They're done then. Go fire. Are you gonna need more help? Do you already have a back injury? Does your partner have a back injury? Or arms? Or I can lift a 300-pound man out of a chair, but I can't pull a compound bow back. Dumb. So know your limitations. Don't exert yourself to where you're injuring yourself. Make a plan and talk about it. Because just because it's in your head and you think one way, tell your partner and your patient what you're doing, how you're going to do it. And they're like, well, that just sounds dumb. Why don't we just do this? And then you're like, okay, good plan. Okay. Position your feet. Use your legs. Do not twist or turn. And do not compensate when lifting with one hand. I'm not going to lift with one hand anyway. If you're not secure, your patient's not secure. The new bags that we have on our trucks weigh 1,000 pounds and they're bigger than I am. 2,000 pounds?
We're 32 pounds.
32,000 pounds. And they're this wide, and I'm only this wide, and your hallways are only this wide, but the bag is this wide. Think about what you're carrying and what you're doing. Same with our monitors. Okay. Keep the weight close to your body. Don't be trying to reach out and pull and push. Use the stair chair. The stair chair is pretty amazing. It distributes the weight so nicely. Can't say that that's exactly how it looks like, but pretty close. And you guys will see. So we have stairs across the street. So you guys go strap into the chair and somebody's going to take you up and down the stairs. Carefully. The power lift. Cool. Just like you do lifting weights in a gym. And then your power grip. All of your fingers are even. They're both going the same direction, not opposites. You'll have more strength in that position than you will if you're in opposites. Keep your back in a locked position. Don't twist. No more than 20 inches. This is 6 inches, so I should better. And avoid prolonged reaching when it's a strenuous effort. It's easier to pull than it is to push. So when we take patients to the ER, we use our cot sheets, and there's 2 people on one side, try to have 2 people on one side and 2 on the other. Basically, your puller is doing all the work. I'm just lifting so that the patient isn't just being drugged across. Keep your body in the center. This is very repetitive. If the weight is below your waist, push or pull from the kneeling position. Don't just bend over and try to do it from that way. Keep your elbows bent and your arms close to your side. Tyrannosaurus. So you arrive on scene of a motor vehicle crash. The vehicle is on fire on the rear passenger side. And you have power lines that go across the car.
Couldn't be anywhere near that far.
Nobody asked you, you're not the student.
Sorry.
I think she just told you to shush.
I did. In a very nice way without cussing.
Just
No.
demonstrating BSI instead.
Hey. You get the point. You get on scene. Pregnant female restrained driver. Vehicle is resting up against a tree. Got a slight incline. But she's not breathing. That's what?
I would say that's seriously emergent.
But is it? What if you just lifted her head up? Okay, you lift her head up, that still didn't open her airway, so now what? Now it's gonna be an emergency, right? Mom's sitting on the floor, she's been sitting there for a couple hours because she fell. And she has a broken hip. Emergent, urgent, or non? Are you gonna sit and talk to her and figure out what's going on, or are you gonna move her to the truck right away?
Let's take those if you want.
Yeah, it's not gonna break any worse by sitting there, right? She's breathing. So it's not an emergency. Take care of life-threatening conditions requiring the repositioning. That's where you get the airway. By lifting their head up because if they're passed out or whatever, their head's down, it blocks that airway. If you lift their head up, they can breathe again. Sometimes. How are you gonna drag them out? Maybe. But even this position, what's gonna happen to a shirt? Probably pull it off. Or choke them. Preferred would probably be to go up underneath of his arms. But that's good. I mean, at least take him down head first, not foot first. Bounce a foot from each step. No,
In what situation would we actually move somebody like that down the stairs?
There was a
You gotta-
fire,
Heck yeah.
yeah, fire, active shooter, something like that. And you need to get out of the building. You would go ahead and move them quickly.
fire department might do it, like if they're on a hazmat scene. I'm not going in because I don't have the hazardous materials. But fire does, so they'd probably go in and do this. I really just can't see me doing this, I just. But it is an option, I guess.
A lot of these drags are meant more for, fire response than they are for, medical. But they are just giving you ways of getting people out of bad situations in a hurry. This one takes a little bit of time. You actually gotta tie the arms. We're probably not gonna take the time to do that. The reason this one is a good move is if there is a fire in the building, there's smoke. Smoke is high and yucky, so we go low. Right? Sure.
Yep.
Yucky stuff, low stuff is good. So you would take, tie their arms, hook them up over your head and then crawl out of that situation. So if you were to go into a place, people are down, for whatever reason, and there's a fire someplace and there's a lot of smoke, then yeah, you get them out this way. More than likely,
Faster to, if they're conscious anyway.
yeah,
Wrap your arms around my neck, let's go.
this is more for an unconscious patient. But in most cases, as EMTs, paramedics, EMS personnel, you're not going to go into a dangerous situation like that. This is if the situation all of a sudden unfolds while you're there. So it goes from BSI scene safe to BSI, oh shit, now I gotta get out. So then that's where these emergency moves come in. Other than the power line, her first example is a good example of an emergency move. You got gas tank on the cars in the rear, it's on fire, hasn't spread to the passenger compartment, and you need to get that person out before it does. You're gonna just reach in, grab and pull them out. Unfortunately, if their power line's down, they're probably active, so unfortunately, you're gonna probably sit and watch that person burn. Because you go in there, touch that car, and it's hot, you've just become another victim, so.
We've done this one before, maybe not crawling. Got a patient, those modular homes, those single wide trailers, they have very narrow hallways. So you log roll them onto a blanket. Yeah, fire usually helping us and we'll get them on the floor and then drag them out that way. We had one patient, he was a little over 500 and some pounds, and that's how we had to do it. Cause we couldn't even put him on a backboard, cause the way that the house was, there was no way we were gonna be able to backboard him and be able to stand him up to rotate or anything. So that was our only option. But at least with that one. Can you still maintain C-spine? As long as you don't take them down the stairs out. One rescuer assist. Maybe she has a broken leg and you're helping her support that way. His is obviously broken. But you gotta get him out of the way or out of whatever situation he's in, so. 2-person, these are really old slides, look at those here.
Put the back.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah. Well, that hair's pretty good.
pretty cool. Urgent move. Maybe I am putting on a C collar, maybe I am asking them where they're hurting, and then I'm needing. A little bit of assessment, a little bit of preventative care. And then get them out. Is their health or their injury gonna become worse if I don't move them? If I leave them in there and do a full-on assessment? Or are they gonna be okay? A lot of times we do this with unstable vehicles, we got fire on scene. They have multiple traumas to themselves. A lot of your motor vehicle crashes. Slide the backboard underneath their butt. Turn them and lay them on the backboard and get them out that way. It still involves lots of people.
Well, right there, it says required treatment can only be performed only if the patient's moved. Now, it kind of falls into emergency also, but like a lot of your bathroom. Everybody has a heart attack in the bathroom, you can't perform CPR. You can only fit so many people in a lot of these bathrooms nowadays. I don't know how many times I've had to move drag somebody out into the hallway and stuff. Perform treatment.
Yes. If they're on their bed and they had a heart attack and you gotta do CPR, are you gonna be able to do very good CPR on the bed? Unless it's my bed, because it's longer days. Okay. And then non-urgent, there's no immediate life threat. Let's treat our patient now. Let's do our full assessment. Let's figure out what's going on before we move you. Because maybe we move you and we make it worse. So let's prevent making it worse. They're sitting in their recliner. They're comfortable. Why do anything? Do not aggravate the existing conditions. So we have the stretchers. Backwards. So we have a scoop. We have a long board. We have a slide board.
Stretcher.
I'm talking about boards. We do not have the bariatric stretchers. Getting to where we probably should, but we're doing good to have the stretchers that we do. Back when I first started, our stretcher was one of those old ones that you have to pull or release. And then you got somebody on all four corners. And then somebody is lifting the legs up. And then you're lifting it up and you're putting it in the truck and hoping you hit the right button and keep pushing all the way in. Yeah.
So we'll get to practice with one of those, because that's what Karen's on over there.
Oh, that was the front. Doesn't it have the buttons and stuff?
No, that is one of the ones that was on the ambulance when I first started.
So how much weight is the stretcher you guys use hold on?
Ours goes up to 700 pounds, what it's rated for, right? 7?
Yeah. So it depends on which one it is. Newer ones are rated to 750, but they will groan at 500. You have to actually help them up at 500 or above.
So the ones that we have now, there's a battery in it, and on a fresh battery, because our stuff is getting pretty worn out. On a fresh battery, the wheels will go up on its own. You put it into the thing and it holds on, it's got arms that hold the cot. And it still to this day makes me nervous because I'm like, there's a lot of weight at the end of those arms. And everything's mechanical and mechanical stuff fails. There's only been one patient that I almost dropped. And he was a doctor and I didn't like him anyway, so it was okay. Just kidding. So you got the power stretchers, which is ours. Manual like that one. And then the bariatric. The bariatric ones, there are some that you still manually lift. There's a little bit of electrical to it, but not much. And then they have the ones that has like the whole system. It's like a whole ramp, and then it has a winch that actually pulls the cot up into the truck.
Wasn't there a reed stretcher? Well, I mean,
You've stretched. I've never heard of that one.
You know where it is in there?
oh, I don't think so. Apples, apples, back.
Oh, the basket stretcher.
Yeah, so Stokes
So,
Basket.
so,
They've got a couple different names, Stokes Basket, and what do they call them?
and you guys have one on fire, right?
Yeah.
And then I know like the coal mine has them.
Search and rescue housing.
Search and rescue, our trucks are not stocked with them, do we
No.
even have one?
No.
Hmm.
The search and rescue, at least when I was on it, actually had a Stokes basket that was came in two pieces. And you could collapse it, so you'd take it apart, collapse it down. And you'd be able to carry it into the backwoods a little bit easier than you just put it together once you got back there. I was always nervous with that one because it felt like it was gonna break in the middle all the times.
Those are more of a specialized, Coast Guard have those. I don't know, if life choppers do or not.
No, they won't fit into a helicopter. So last time we used one, I think, were you on the one horse lady that fell? So we actually put her into a Stokes basket because we didn't have backboard on the truck we had the Stokes. So we rolled her into the Stokes basket and then carried her. Got off a long ways to where the ambulance was able to get down. Yeah, so,
I think we actually put her on a backboard and then set her in.
yeah, might have. But
They had a rescue up on the mountain over on Box Elder side. And they ended up calling flight team in, well, EMS crew was already down there. Search and rescue was on scene. And where he was at, we weren't gonna be able to get to him, and we weren't gonna be able to carry him out of there all the way. So the chopper came in and they actually did the rope system, and they put him in one of those Stoke stretchers. And then airlifted him up and out of the way. Cause there was no way we were gonna pack him up the hill.
I think National Guard came in on that one,
Mm-mm.
was it?
That was a different one.
Um,
Yeah, that's a whole different ballgame. It's a specialty type. Roping system and all of that to be able to do. It's fun to watch, that's for sure. Coal mine, I know they have one. You'll have to ask her. Cause I know they do a lot of that rope training and shit like that. Okay. So these, I had never tipped one over. I don't know that I've heard of any of us tipping one over.
They did
But
that.
we're still pretty cautious. We live in Wyoming. You have rocky dirt roads, you have grassy yards, you have whatever, large patients. Your center of gravity. So if you've got a big patient on one of these and you've got them all the way up, your center of gravity is gonna be off. So you hit a rock or you hit an uneven sidewalk just right. And so you'll hear us a lot of times, we want all four corners. You should always have at least two people helping with the cot. One's kind of pushing, the other one's pulling. Okay. Has power.
That's one of the Furno. That was a Furno power cut.
They're all pretty similar. There's not a whole lot of differences. So like this one. And ours, the head of the bed, you can move that arm in so that you can fit it into tighter spaces. The one that we have, you can lift the knees up, so then they're in a recliner, what it feels like. This is the bariatric one. So it's got the winch that basically attaches at the bottom of it, and then that pulls it up in there. If you watch my 600-pound life, you would think they would have one, but I've only seen it once. They just have 12 firefighters that come and lift. Stair chairs. Spine boards, whether they're short ones or long ones. That's a picture of the stair chair, and that's what we're gonna go play with. That's what we have. Longboard. These are very painful. They are very uncomfortable. They have been. They're kind of on the wayside. They're going out. It used to be when we trained. Everybody got put on them backboard if you suspected any sort of spine or neck injury. And then they found that patients break down pretty dang fast when they're on these. And it's actually causing more damage. You get your elderly patients with kyphosis or the curvature of the neck. That sucks. It hurts. Don't put them on that. Portable scoop basket, flexible stretchers, and a vacuum mattress.
So the vacuum ones were pretty popular back in the early 2000s. What they were finding was, one, they're expensive. I mean, relatively expensive. They're about $200-300 a piece. And when you put someone in it and you vacuum it, it actually forms around them. And they were bringing people into the hospital with these, and instead of releasing the vacuum pressure, people were cutting them. And so they became really not cost effective for agencies to carry them. So you don't see them a lot. I think the mines still have them. They use them a lot for their getting guys out of the trucks. They'll put them in these things, vacuum them, strap them into it, and then lower them out, and it gives them nice. It's a little bit better than trying to get a Stokes basket up on some of those things. They're flexible when they're not vacuumed sealed,
Mhm.
if you will. But once you vacuum them, they become rigid, and they work. They are really good things. They're just not cost effective for us to carry, so we don't.
That's the scoop. In theory, they're really handy. But you gotta have strong thumbs. They come apart through the middle of it. They're really good for your hip fractures. But then you don't have to roll the patient. You can just scoop and slide it underneath of them. You put it together. You might do a little bit of a lift, but they're pretty handy. The length of them is adjustable, whereas the other structures or the other longboards are not. So if I've got a 6 foot tall guy, he'll fit on this better than he would my longboard. There's your basket. That one's flexible. So it's like a army cot. That's the fabric. It's like a canvas.
Used
Or
to be-
plastic.
We used to be required to carry these on the ambulances. I think we might have a couple. I'll take a look and see if I can find one upstairs. But
They're up on that. I don't know if that cot's still over there in the corner. 1229 has tires and stuff.
there might be one over there.
No, Ross has one.
Hmm?
Antonio Ross has one of those.
Where else?
Ross.
Oh, Gorman.
Yeah.
That's the vacuum mattress. So. If you suspect a spinal injury, immobilize your head and neck. Blind before you move. You may have somebody that's sitting in the back seat of a vehicle and they're holding the head of the driver, and then somebody else will come in and put the seat collar on. And then we put this stretcher underneath their butt, and we're holding and maintaining C-spine all the way through until we get them laid down on the cot, and then we secure them that way. The rigid collar. The biggest thing is that you are restricting the movement, and you have to constantly remind your patient. Yes or no answers. Don't shake your head. Yes or no. You do not let go of that head until they have the head blocks and they are secured on the backboard. And you'll get all of that when we get into spinal. Use the extremity lift. Can be used to lift the patient from the ground or from a sitting position. So I saw the pictures of this. I have never done it. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody do it. But you're basically squatted and you're lifting the patient simultaneously with your partner. And you're arm curling them and then standing up and then rolling them back over onto the cot. Can't say as we're gonna be doing it, but that's what it is. You know what? Extremity carry. The fire department will do these a lot of times. Whether they're both facing each other or if they're going walking like that. I'm not gonna be doing that with a spinal injury though.
I think we've everything. In that position.
No, usually, that's why I said, usually they're facing each other. I've never been walking the same direction, but. No spinal injuries, the direct ground lift. Lifting them from the ground to the stretcher.
This is what you're talking about. Or the curling. Yeah.
I've never seen, our guys will grab arms and legs or shoulders of their shirt. And then one of them will grab the belt loops on their pants or just grab a handful of pants and then legs and lift them that way. It's almost easier just to log roll them onto a blanket and then transfer, pick them up and transfer them over. That is not gonna happen. Cause me and the patient both are gonna go. Bloop.
The idea behind this is you, as you lift them, you're gonna lift them up onto your one knee. And you're gonna support them there. That rolls up to you and then you guys just transfer them over. It is. I think I've tried this one time and it is so awkward to try and get both of you doing this lift at the same time. That there are other better ways of getting them on. A lot of times what we'll do, we'll put this position the stretcher at the feet. And with fire department's help, we'll lift them straight up and just roll the stretcher underneath them. It's a lot easier doing it that way. So.
The communication with those two people has to be impeccable. Nope.
I'll look and see if I can find a video of people actually doing this, because I've never seen a video of it. Just the pictures.
The draw sheet method or the direct carry method. That's how we typically do it. Even if it is a spinal injury, that's still how we're gonna do it because that's gonna be less movement than if we were to do any other way. You're basically pulling and pushing, except there's gonna be somebody on the other side too. The recovery position, and you'll learn more about different positions. I think next week. Maybe not. So this is what they call the recovery, whether it's left or right. Just heads up, if you have an OB patient, they're going on their left. Always in for it. Shock. So when I went to, we used to put patients in the Trendelenburg, so their feet were higher than their heart. They don't say to do that anymore. By putting the theory was by putting them into the Trendelenburg, then it Trendelenburg position, you're helping to shunt that blood more towards the core. So you're doing it and you're very sick. Your patients with shock, your patients with blood loss. Now they say do not lower the head or raise the legs. Weird how things change. And they're in the supine position. When you arrive at the hospital, you will move the patient from the ambulance stretcher to the hospital. Oh, same thing. Draw sheet. We're talking about it. Whoever is doing the pulling at the head is the one that falls 1, 2, 3.
And you get the.
One of the things with Glenrock puts sheets, actual sheets on their bed, like hospital bed sheets. And that's what they use. We have, it's a blue
Paper.
paper slash plastic,
Yeah, it's a disposable sheet.
and I have only one time ripped it. And that's because of my damn fingernails. So. I would trust my cot sheets over any sheet anywhere. Sheets get old, they get washed however many thousands of times, they break down, they're gonna rip. They might already have holes in them. I mean, Casper uses white sheets, so they get bleached. It tears the fabric down. I won't use just a regular sheet. But I will use my cot sheets anytime.
One thing you gotta be conscious of, especially if you do any ride time up in Glenrock or with Med Center up there. They both use sheets on their things. They are stretchy sheets. So before you move them, you want to make sure all that stretch is out of them before you try and move. Otherwise, that stretch is going to cause issues when you go to move them. So you'll see
You don't
that
stretch them. I'm pushing. You're supposed to be pulling, but it ain't going nowhere because you still gotta get all the stretch out of it.
regardless of the sheet, you'll hear me all the time say, let's make sure we got all the slack out of it. And I'll pull, the other side will pull, we'll make sure, then we'll re-grip it and do the move.
Make sure that they are on the stretcher all the way. Make sure they're in the center. We'll tell them a lot of times I might hold on to the one side so that when we pull it away from the bed, I at least have that side and I'm keeping the patient pulled towards me. Cause we pull it away from the bed and then there's nothing there and they're not completely on the bed yet. That was easy. The other thing that we have now, and it does not say anything about it, is we call them pink sheets. A lot of you know. So it is literally just a piece of plastic. And it slides underneath of whatever you're using to transfer the patient. So if you are using a sheet, if you're using the cot sheet that we have. Either way, you have a big person, it's huge because you don't have to lift so much as you do slide. Because that material that's on top of it just assists it and makes a 500-pound patient feel like 200 pounds. So
But
we have some over there.
yeah. But once you're on the ambulance stretcher, if you're moving these people, like going to Casper,
Take
gonna
care.
make sure that sheet's out from underneath them, because they will just slide down the bed. And so you wanna make sure that's out from underneath them.
It's happened.
Yeah.
We've learned from experience. Yeah.
So what we'll do is, before we head over there, we'll show you what this manual stretcher is. You don't see these very often. More big cities have these. Because they don't have the money or the funding to get power lift or power assist cots. When Tanner, my son, was working out in New Jersey, they had power lifts, but they still had to lift caught up, hit the button, and then push it in, kind of like our old days. So on this one, let's take Brad off here. Brad needs a back. Okay. So. The foot end is always the operator bend, because they're the ones that are gonna be, when you go to push it in, they're the ones pushing. So on this one, there's two handles here, here. You're gonna have to take some pressure off it, squeeze it, and then it'll lower it to the ground. So when we're talking about power lift, you're just gonna squat down, get a good grip on it. And lift up. Once it's up, you wanna hold it for a second. And either probably stitch it, so, just a little bit more. There you go. You wanna hear that click before you let go. If you don't, and you both let go, it's just gonna drop it. The nice thing is there's places where you can go. So you lift it up. So they'll stop at different ones. Okay. We were watching the BLS class, the other day. How many of you guys went for our class? Good, third year. You used to see people doing compressions from here. Sitting here doing compressions. Don't do that with our cots that we have now, even with this one. We can lift it up a little bit. Bring it down. Somehow. I would bring someone in like this and do compressions so you're up over them. Yeah, so that you're doing good compressions. You cannot do good compressions up here. Don't ever let a nurse jump on top of your cot, straddle it, and do compressions. That looks stupid.
It's not like in the movies or on Grey's Anatomy.
So if you guys want to play with this, you can kind of, I think Karen's about 125 pounds. Yeah, about 125, 130. You guys can cost about, I don't know, you know, it's a heavy stuff. But you guys can come over here, kind of play with it, see what it's like to lift these, and we'll go over and show you the 21st century stuff.
Use your communication when you're playing with that.
Yes, this look like.
Everybody online, now is playtime, so we are done with slides.
You know, I'm stuck there.
Anybody have any questions?
Do they test us on which stretcher goes with certain things on the quizzes?
I don't think so. I've never seen a stretcher question.
On National Registry, no. The
Okay.
questions may be which one would be most appropriate, and another question may be, is it gonna be an emergent, an urgent, or a non-emergent move?
Okay.
Okay,
Awesome. Thank you.
you're welcome. Feel better. Hopefully we see you Monday.
I will be there Monday, win, draw, or lose.
Okay.
Thank you.
Don't forget, tests are due by Monday.
Yeah, I may be calling you guys. I logged in on there, but just so